couple minutes after 7, I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order. May we have the roll, please?
Ray Daney,
Here.
Mark Hopkins,
Here.
Steve Kane,
Here.
Tom Coons, Jim Lumberg,
Here.
John Biasso,
Here.
Tim Ridenauer, Diane Nagel, Shane Cook, Austin Hopkins,
Here.
Laura Wallace.
You have a quorum. We have a quorum. All right, fine. With that, first item on our agenda, and does somebody have a copy of the agenda? I don't have one.
No.
Yes, I do. All right, looking for approval of June 13th minutes. May we have a roll call on that, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second. Okay. Any other discussion? May we have the roll, please?
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
John Biasso,
Yes.
Jim Lumberg,
Yes. Okay.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes.
Steve Kane,
Yes. All right. Excuse me just for a few minutes because of the fact, normally we start our meetings at 7:30. This is my first meeting at 7 o'clock, which I had recommended, by the way. And I'm trying to get caught up here just a little bit. I read these minutes before I came. I read everything, but I just want to make sure everything's in order. And also, while I'm doing that, I'd like to thank Commissioner Lumberg for chairing the meeting last month. You did an outstanding job, and I thought I was going to be fired this month. I read the minutes and you did an outstanding job. First item on our agenda is case number 13-08. It's Walgreens. It's the re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Brewster Creek Centre Resubdivision and Consolidation. And B, it's the rezoning of a portion of Lot 1 of the Brewster Creek Centre Resubdivision from the B2 Local Convenience Shopping Zoning District to the B3 Neighborhood Shopping Zoning District. C, it's a site plan review for lots 1 and 2 of the Brewster Creek Centre Resubdivision. And lastly, it's a special use permit for packaged liquor sales at Walgreens. Is I believe the petition is present. Is that correct? Okay. And you'll have your turn. Just work with me here a little bit. And Roberta?
yes.
All of the necessary items have been received, they're in place, everything's in order, so we can proceed. Okay, would you like to give the commission members and audience, please, a little background?
Sure. The petitioners are proposing to relocate an existing Walgreens store from the Brewster Creek Shopping Center to the vacant site of the former Clark gas station at the northeast corner of Stearns and Route 59. The corner property and a small area immediately north, and I'm going to show you on the map. So this area right here. As I said, the corner property and a small area immediately north of this corner parcel will be consolidated into one newly created Lot 1. So that's the newly created Lot 1 is here, and the remaining Lot 2 is here. The KinderCare and McDonald's are not part of the subdivision. They remain in the original Brewster Creek subdivision. So this is a new re-subdivision of Lot 1, which is going to be Lot 1 and Lot 2 here. The Lot 1 will include the freestanding Walgreens store with a drive-up pharmacy window and accompanying parking lot. The remaining portion of the Brewster Creek Shopping Center will make up the newly created Lot 2. It will consist of 5.8 acres and also include the remaining portion of the parking lot, which is now slightly smaller due to a portion of that area being included in Lot 1. The existing corner parcel, this portion right here, is currently zoned B2. The remainder of the shopping center and the remainder of Lot 1 is zoned B3. Petitioners are requesting this area right here to be rezoned to B3 to coincide with the rest of the shopping center. The proposed development for the Walgreens would actually eliminate the existing curb cuts on both Route 59 and Stearns Road. Those were the existing curb cuts with the old Clark Station, and thereby improving safety at this busy intersection. We found that the soils at the southwest corner here, let me go to the site plan actually. This area here are contaminated. We have hired an environmental consultant, Gary Deegan. He is in the audience tonight. And he has worked with the engineers and the consultants for the petitioner and have developed several strategies to manage the proper handling and removal of the contaminated soils and the proper barriers that may be required. If you have very specific questions on that, I'm sure Gary can answer those, and the petitioner as well. Okay. So this is the overall site plan that shows the proposed Walgreens site, again, Lot 1, and then here's the existing shopping center, and then this is where the existing Walgreens is now. So you've got the parking lot, remaining, new parking lot, new Walgreens. So the site, they're asking for site plan review for the Lot 1, again, the Walgreens, and it is, this is the site plan for that more specifically, but I want to show you the elevation. It's a freestanding 24-hour Walgreens with a drive-through pharmacy and will be approximately 14,820 square feet in area. It will be constructed with a combination of face brick and cultured stone with 3 aluminum-clad metal canopies over the entranceway, along the south elevation, and over the pharmacy drive-up window. It will have an overall average height of 23 feet 6 inches, and its primary entrance will be located at the southwest corner of the building. All right. Oops, let me go back to the site plan. A full internal curb cut along the north-south access easement will provide both ingress and egress, and that is here. And it will serve as the primary entrance to the Walgreens. Patrons, however, can exit the Walgreens from 2 additional locations, either by traveling through the parking lot and exiting from this right out only to the existing access easement. This is not changing. They would exit here and then onto Stearns Road. Or if they are in the site at the drive-up window, they can continue northward and exit out into this internal intersection in the shopping center right here. There is a bypass lane here for vehicles too, in this drive-up pharmacy area. There is a 2-way traffic pattern within the site plan or in the parking lot for the Walgreens. This is 2-way traffic. And the loading area is located to the north of the building here. And trucks that would enter the loading area would primarily come from Route 59 at this right in, right out here, and enter in a forward motion into the loading area, load, and then exit in a forward motion to this, again, internal intersection in the shopping center. Okay, so I'm going to stay on this site plan because it's easier to see, but I'm going to be talking about Lot 2, which is the shopping center site plan. We had some minor changes and improvements as a result of the overall configuration for the shopping center. One is an improvement to the right and right out here. This was moved northward from its existing location just slightly and improved to IDOT standards. The village, at the time that we wrote this memo and when these plans were drawn, had requested a partial taper here to come into this right and right out. And that was going to be under review and approval by IDOT. We have since heard from IDOT, and they have not approved that taper. So they prefer just an improved to their standard right in, right out at that location. So this will change slightly. That taper will actually disappear. The village has hired a traffic consultant, Brent Coulter. He is here in the audience as well, as is the petitioner's traffic consultant. They are here. And if you have any specific questions on traffic circulation, right-in, right-outs, improvements, I'm sure they can answer those questions as well. The existing sidewalk that's along Stearns Road would be eliminated and replaced with an 8-foot wide bike path on Stearns and would be extended toward Route 59 as part of the proposal. And let's see. As I mentioned, we did hire a traffic consultant, and he has reviewed the traffic impact study by KLOA and concurs with the conclusions made by KLOA, and has found that the relocated Walgreens traffic is effectively already reflected in the adjacent roadway traffic volumes. So, there is a parking variation request for the Walgreens. They currently are showing 47 parking stalls on the site. 56 are required under via the zoning ordinance. However, that item is to be reviewed at next month's Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Okay? There are other variation requests listed in your memo. For example, the reduction in the required corner side yard, the 30-foot rear yard, canopies encroaching into the side yards. Those will all be reviewed also by the Zoning Board of Appeals next month. Walgreens is also requesting a special use permit for the sale of packaged liquor, which would include beer, wine, and liquor at its new location. The existing Walgreens was granted a special use permit for packaged liquor sales of beer and wine only, which is a Class H at their existing site. The petitioners at their new 24-hour location are applying for full packaged liquor to stay competitive with other retail pharmacy stores currently selling full packaged liquor in the village. They would be applying for a Class C liquor license, which has the following hours of Sunday through Thursday from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m., and Friday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 12 a.m. The petitioner estimates that the new Walgreens facility would generate approximately $45,350 in real estate taxes. Engineering and landscape plans are currently being reviewed by the staff, and the staff does recommend approval of the petitioner's request before you tonight, subject to the following conditions outlined in your staff report and the findings of fact.
Fine. Thank you, Roberta. Commission members, any questions of staff?
I have a question.
For staff, or do you want to wait till after the presentation?
You mentioned about the curb cut, the existing one on Route 59.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the existing one, or that's going to move?
This has been shifted slightly to the north.
Just slightly?
Just slightly, yes.
Okay.
And was there a reason why IDOT denied or didn't want to have that taper, or?
I'm going to let the petitioners answer that. They got a letter from IDOT, so I think they can address that. I failed to mention one other improvement. This access drive here, this used to have parking on both sides. So vehicles would be exiting out onto this access drive, backing out, I should say, into this access drive. We asked the petitioner to eliminate 11 parking stalls within this area here and to provide a landscape island to provide a clear access point here for vehicles and for the loading trucks to come in and out safely. So they agreed to do that, and we're very happy about that.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to ask the petitioner to comment, please, if you'd be so kind. We need your name, address, please, and affiliation with the petitioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Richard Heimberg. I'm with the Brady and Jensen Law Office in Elgin. I represent the proposed developer and also the owner of this property, which is Bartlett Venture One LLC. My office address is 2425 Royal Boulevard in Elgin, on the west side, right off Randall Road. First of all, let me say that the the staff of the village and our development team, who are all here tonight, have been working for several months refining and revising the plan to get it to the best point that it possibly can be. So basically, it's easy for us now to say, after all that work, that we're in 100% agreement with the presentation and the staff memo that you have received. There's only a few things that we'd like to add to what was just stated by Ms. Grill. First of all, this intersection is really a gateway to the village, one of the major impact areas that visitors and drivers see when they come to Bartlett. And not only will this eliminate the unsafe curb cuts that go with the former gas station site, but this would improve the aesthetics of the area by eliminating the vacant lot on the corner, providing a brand-new parking lot plus a beautiful new store that will improve the aesthetics and the feeling of people coming into Bartlett. Secondly, Walgreens has been in the Brewster Creek Shopping Center since 1989, so they're nearly 25 years there. And I think it's important having a stable company like that serving the village to allow them to expand and to modernize their operation. And it seems that it's their strategy to move from within shopping centers to freestanding buildings. And this would very easily allow them to stay within the area that they've operated in for 24 years and take advantage of the goodwill that they've built up serving the community during that time. And basically, they've signed a 75-year lease, so they'll be here for a while. Now, our main function tonight is to answer any questions that you or any of the members of the public have, and our development team is all present. I think you have a list of everyone who we have here. So basically, we'll just open it to questions that you might have that our folks might be able to answer.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any specific questions? I know I have a number of them.
I guess I'll start.
Go ahead. Start then, please.
I guess my one concern was with the IDOT. What was the reason for them not wanting the taper?
This is Javier Milan. He'll answer that question.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is
Pardon
Javier
me.
Milan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a senior consultant with KLOA, and we conducted the traffic study. We did receive a letter from IDOT, and I believe the village got a copy of the letter. They were not too keen or fond of the idea of what I call a pseudo right turn lane or a mini taper. Under that scenario, there was a taper and the radius was 45 feet. Their guidelines require a radius of 50 feet. They much rather have the radius of 50 feet, just the way that the plan has been revised, and a minimum width of 14 feet. I believe the plan shows 15 feet for the lanes going in and out, and the radius is 50. So that's what they wanted to see. They feel more comfortable with their design than going in that direction. And it's their route, and we have to go with whatever direction they want to go.
Okay, so you will be going with what the IDOT wants as far as the taper?
Correct, because ultimately they're the ones who have jurisdiction over that.
No, we understand that, but is there a reason that they came to that conclusion?
This is just my speculation.
Please.
My speculation is that they don't feel comfortable having a mini taper. Either you have a full storage length and taper, or you don't have it at all. They feel that's not the best solution, and they rather see the right-in, right-out to their design standards, meaning the 50-foot radius instead of 45, and at a minimum 14 feet for the inbound and outbound lanes. In this case, it's 15. So the mini taper, they don't feel that it's good for traffic flow. So we're going with whatever they're saying.
Well, you really don't have any choice.
Correct. We don't have any choice. We have to do, because they're the ones who have jurisdiction over that. So we can present to them that, and whether they agree or not on that, so. Yeah, there's...
I can read you what they wrote. It just says, "We do not concur with the flare with a proposed restricted drive to Illinois Route 59." That's it.
All right. My main concern is I just want to make sure that there is a taper of some sort. So as long as you guys are having a taper, because if there was no taper, I know it's quite bad when you're driving down there on 59 and then someone automatically turns right into there, into that shopping center, now just having the Walgreens there.
I think most likely what you're referring to currently, today, that writing right out is not up to standards. It's actually a very tight writing right out. And that's why the state requires a 50-foot radius. It's actually a pretty big radius, and it's to ease up that transition. If you would have a lot more room, if that writing right out would be further out, putting an exclusive right-turn lane would be ideal, but it is not. And the state, just like the letter says, they don't like the idea of putting that many taper because they don't feel it's the correct thing to do. And once again, we have no choice on that. We have to abide by what the state is telling us to do.
I'm not going to ask that question. Fine, anyone else?
I've got two
Please.
questions for Mr. Milan when the time comes.
Cool.
Okay. Could you describe, Mr. Milan, how the truck motions work, right? And how a truck would pull into or back into the loading area?
There's no backing in. It's all a forward motion, but having...
That's very good
Could I,
start right there.
could I give a...
Sure. I'll pass it around.
Considering we have cars coming in at speed.
This was done today because we changed the plan based on
All right.
But as Earl mentioned, there's no, trucks will actually pull into the loading dock. Once they pull in internally, in the loading dock, they can back into, so they're not backing, if you notice that, they're
But they
not backing.
can't come from the east, pull part way up the right in, right out, and then back into the loading dock. Is that
Correct,
right?
internally, correct.
All right, because that would conflict with the right in, right? In my book, it would.
That would conflict with the right in, if you
If
see
the truck was backing into the loading dock around the corner, right?
No, because it's gonna be backing up internally.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not conflicting with any movement in the right in, right out.
That's fine. If the truck is coming from internal in the shopping center, how does it work? Same way, pull in and straighten out?
I just want to make sure. Okay, so trucks will be entering from here, and they're going to enter into the loading dock and backing internally, so they will not be backing out in here. Trucks will be, Walgreens has control over the trucks and their deliveries, and they basically can guide them as to where they're supposed to enter. The majority of the trucks that Walgreens receive are single-unit trucks, and that's why this was improved in such a way to accommodate single-unit trucks. I believe, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, Walgreens gets about one semi-truck once a week. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. Those semis, they can control them as to what time they get to Walgreens. And the idea is to actually, because there's no way that a semi, a tractor trailer can be in here. Semi would probably park in here, and then they can just go and load up. And typically they do that early in the morning when the shopping center is probably not even open for business.
Here's my concern. I'd like you to say that it's not a problem. Is that there's a truck maneuvering in the right in, right out around the corner of the building as cars come in northbound in the right in, right out at pretty good clip of speed because there's no taper.
Okay. As in that figure shows, the radius, it's not going to be a problem because of the radius that the
You're
state
saying
requires.
trucks just won't be there?
A truck can turn the same way that a car can turn, and a truck will, as soon as it turns, the truck is going internally in here, so they're not going to be in the access drive.
That's what I wanted to
That's what
hear.
you wanted to know? Okay. So the truck is going to be removed from the access drive. As soon as it turns, they have the opening right there to actually enter in, so they're removed from the access drive immediately.
All right. Mr. Mullen, my second question is this. With regard to the right in, right out of the parking lot, Tell me how that works with the stacking for the right turn and the left turn exiting the center to the south.
Are you talking right over here?
Uh-huh.
Right there? Okay. This will not be changed from what it is today, but because Stearns Road is pretty heavy and it backs up beyond Brewster Creek Drive, it was recommended by staff as well as Brent Coulter, and we agree, because we have seen it, to actually limit the southern access drive to right out only. No left in, no left out, because of the proximity. We observe traffic in here to see exactly what's happening there. Typical backup or queue of cars is about 2 to 3 vehicles, and then they clear. That's one of the reasons why this was limited to right out, because when you have 2 to 3 vehicles, you're already right here. So you really don't want somebody entering here, stopping to try to make a left in there. So the inbound left will occur farther away from the intersection.
I'm talking about the outbound left. You take a
outbound
right
left
turn
right
out of
over
that parking lot because you're saying it's right out only,
This is right out only.
right? And you want me turning back into the center. Actually, that's a secondary question to this. But you got me going out, but now I want to go left back in. I want to go eastbound on Stearns. How do I do that? And there's a couple cars to stack.
You would have to wait, and it happens. We saw it, it happens, but it clears, and when you have the chance to clear, you can get into the left turn lane. There's enough room for a car, once it clears, to get into the left turn lane right here and make the left.
Okay,
You would
it's
have to wait.
Christmas time, and the parking lot's full, right? I get in there, and I orbit all the way around, and I find myself forced to leave the shopping center. Okay? So what do I do if I say, well, I won't go into the Walgreens because it's a little busy, but I'd like to get down to the Radio Shack. Say, I'm done. I have to go all the way out to Route 59 and come back in the center.
You could do that. I mean,
No, that's what I have to do, right?
you would have to do that, and that would be, again, not on a typical weekday or Saturday. You just mentioned it. That would be like a Christmas,
If the
time
parking
period.
lot was connected internally back to the first curb cut, you're allowing a left out of there though, aren't you?
You could, if you connect, you have full access in here. However, when you connect, you lose more parking spaces.
I could see that.
So there was a balance as to, in terms of parking spaces and accessibility, what can be done. So this is finding that balance.
Thank you for that answer.
All right, now we're going to have to stop for a moment and explain this a little more, because I am thoroughly confused, and I hope other commissioners are also. Are you telling me, is it my understanding that if I were to visit the Walgreens, that I am isolated at that point in time from frequenting any other person in the center?
No, not necessarily. Like Ms. Grill mentioned, the aisles are two ways. So if you're parking here and you
Okay.
want to go, let's say,
Correct.
over here,
Correct.
you can actually pull out of the parking, of your parking stall and drive around and get here and turn out.
Okay.
And turn this way. So you're not completely isolated in there. It's just that the exiting movement, we believe the best way to do is just to restrict it to right out, and physically, and also with signs, so you don't have, like I mentioned, somebody trying to make a left in there when it's so close to the intersection. Inbound left, right here, we don't think it's the appropriate thing. It should happen farther away from the intersection. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Vaguely. You understand?
Yeah, they need too many cars for the site, is what I heard.
I'm sorry, say that again?
As you said, they needed the cars, and in order to accommodate that, we're making compromises with regard to traffic motions.
Well, not necessarily. Keep in mind, there's a code that has to be met. There's also some surveys that IT has conducted, and there's also some requirements that Walgreens has in terms of parking. So we're finding that this medium or happy medium point in meeting code, IT requirements, as well as Walgreens requirements. Again, if you're in this parking stall and you want to go back to the center where there is McDonald's in here, you can actually circulate and get out here. You are not forced to go around onto Stearns and then back to 59 and then entering the shopping center.
I hear you.
So we're going to exit this way.
unless the parking lot's full.
But look at them.
So,
It's full, you have to leave the center.
so just to clarify once again, so say I am parked in one of those stalls over close to Stearns, and I did want to go, I needed to go east on Stearns. I would have to back out and go all the way around and then come out that other exit?
No, if you want to go east, again, this is a right out. So you can actually turn right out, get into the left turn lane, and make a left.
I mean, isn't that going to be a little difficult, because there's going to be cars stacked up there?
But that's what I alluded to. From time to time, there will be some cars in there. When they clear, if you're able to do that, then you can do it. Otherwise, if you feel like I don't want to wait in the right out to make the left, you have the option, because it's two-way, to actually come out in here. So you're not limited. So you have the flexibility of either exiting on the southern one or exiting in the northern one.
So with the increased business, I mean, obviously this is going to have there's going to be I think I read somewhere about 20% sales increase, so I got to imagine there's going to be more traffic, because otherwise more business, otherwise there really wouldn't be a reason to move the Walgreens there. So my guess is that the traffic study, there would be a good increase of vehicles through there. Was there any studies done on cars exiting Braintree that are from this shopping center? Because I know myself, I will exit this shopping center and go down Norwood and go to Braintree, because it is almost impossible to turn left from there. And that's kind of a concern of mine, is that you're going to have a lot of increased traffic on Braintree. And, was there any studies done on that?
We haven't done studies as to following cars, whether they exit the shopping center and they go around and go to Braintree and get down to Stearns. But I can tell you the increase that you most likely are alluding to, I don't think it's necessarily in line with traffic. So if you see like a 20% increase in sales, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a 20% increase in traffic. When you looked at the IT two-generation manual for drive-through pharmacy or versus no drive-through, the difference in traffic, it's very, very minimal, because the drive-through, in essence, is just for prescriptions. You cannot go in there and say, hey, I want a gallon of milk. You cannot do that. You only drop off your prescription and then tell you, come back for it. You cannot wait for it. So it's more of a convenience. So that increase that you're talking about, I think it's more sales-wise, because now it's a freestanding one. You also have the drive-through, you have that convenience that you don't have to get out of your car when it's raining or snowing and get and drop your prescription.
No, I understand that.
So will there be an increase in traffic? Sure. But the trip generation for the drive-through, for example, the maximum queue on a drive-through facility like this is like 2 to 3 vehicles. So it's not like, for lack of a better example or comparison, it's like you have a Starbucks in there or a Burger King or McDonald's that is generating constantly in the drive-through. This is just more of a convenience for the customers.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I have a question or a comment about the truck delivery system once again. There's a curbed island that runs along the drive-through area. Would that be possible to cut that short or square it off with the building so the truck would have a little bit easier of a time to get in and out?
Talking shaving this one right here, or maybe making it like
correct.
mountable?
Could they put like they did along the north side there, a mountable curb?
Yeah, it's like those
Correct.
corrugated,
Right,
or mountable.
right.
I believe there was a
Truncated
plan,
cones.
if I remember correctly, that showed that, and I know there was some discussion. I mean, is that what we agree? Because I know we looked at it.
As opposed to this, because that's a landscaped island, that would restrict the flow of the
Yeah,
truck deliveries.
You would like this corner in here to be mountable or corrugated, so it makes
Correct.
it easier for the
Correct.
trucks.
Would that make sense, or is this a requirement by the village?
You have that mountable median there on the north side.
Correct.
Okay, there's plenty of room for that single-unit truck to get out of there without hitting that landscape down there. We cut that island back, as a matter of fact, if not once, twice even, right there. We cut that.
I think it went all the way up to here, and I think they cut it a little
Right,
bit.
so we're pretty confident that this, the way it's drawn, will work.
Because that's a 55-foot truck.
Well, yeah, the truck in here is a single unit. It's
Just
your,
right,
your
40.
smaller truck. It's
Yeah,
not a
it's not
tractor trailer.
Yeah.
Not a 28, is it a 28-foot van, delivery van?
It's 30, I think that's the single unit 30, yeah. So the total
28.
length is like
So it's
28, 30 feet.
28-footer
Mhm,
down
mhm.
at 56. Doug, is that a 56? What do you get in typically? A 28 van or, either or?
But only the smaller ones are going to use that loading area.
Right.
I mean, it's physically impossible for anything really big to get in there.
Right.
So, we feel confident that this will work, and if we find that it's not, I mean, that's something that, Walgreens will probably take a look at and say, hey, maybe we need to change this. But primarily, that landscaped island is going to be where vehicles at the drive-through will be turning
To
and
control
exiting.
them, right.
Yeah, so it's just a regular passenger vehicle.
Okay. Fine, thank you.
Gentlemen, anyone else?
Got one for
Go
planning
ahead,
staff.
Please.
Um,
Thank you very much.
Setback in the B3, Roberta, is what?
Front yard,
Well, on 59.
50,
Yeah.
and on Stearns, too.
Can you talk about how far back the rest of the buildings are through this retail corridor area from the Route 59 right away?
Oh, you're testing me on my history.
Well, I
Um,
did some Google Earth, but it didn't help me too much. It's not precise.
From memory, what I can tell you is that Dunkin' Donuts, when they came in, they requested a reduction in their setbacks. And all along 59, from Home Depot to, again, Dunkin' Donuts, the Oil Masters, they all got their parking pushed into the setback as well.
I'm talking
So-
about buildings,
but-
not parking setback.
Yeah, but I believe Dunkin' Donuts was in, that might be about it. You could be right, there might not be that many.
The closest one I could find, but you know my method, so it's not like something you could,
Right.
say it's laid out with the ruler, was about 38 feet on the bank across the street to the south. Everything else is over 40 feet.
Right, and the bank has been there a lot longer, the mobile across the street, both of those are probably within the setbacks. And is BP is as well.
The mobile and the BP canopies are 40 and 50 feet back respectively, right? This building,
I don't think they are.
well,
The BP across from Walgreens?
40 feet, and
can't-
mobile
They
50
can't-
feet.
I think the canopy and the BP got a variance to be in the setback.
Yes, that's way, a lot closer.
Setback is, you said again?
The building setback is 50 feet, yes.
Right, so that would be 10 feet into it.
Roughly.
So if it indeed was 40, and I'm just saying, you know how I did it, so.
Yeah.
But this building would be very different from
Yes.
all the other buildings on the Route 59 retail corridor through here, all the way from the Oil Masters, all the way south to Apple Valley, right?
Right.
It would be less than half of the setback of the tightest building.
Right, that's right,
And all of them, in the outlet areas are registered back,
right.
right? And you can see why they did it, it's they're out of sight. But why wasn't that right in, right out pushed north another 40 feet to make enough room on this site to get enough building area in here and a parking lot that won't make that kind of compromise with its outflow?
Are you going to ask the petitioner that?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
my
the petition-
question.
I think the
Somebody can
petition
answer it. It just
addressed
seems
that.
like we're putting too much stuff in a site.
Actually, my name is Wayne Rogers. If we push that right in, right out, we can get closer to the main entrance that's to the north, and I think that's
Right.
part of the problem.
See this?
Also, if you push it further north, the trucks are going to have a harder time internally going into the site. This works very well for the trucks coming in and going out. If the right in, right out was, say, one set of islands up, the trucks would have a harder time turning in and out. And then this is a safer plan as far as...
And I believe the petitioner would also lose more parking.
Mr. Rogers, this is safer for trucks?
This is safer from what you're saying, moving the right in, right out,
Yeah.
further north that you're requesting. The trucks would have a harder time turning inside the development in order to get back to the back of the building. I'm just saying it'd be more difficult.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions right now?
Yes, I got one.
Go ahead, please.
Why does the building have to face south? What kind of problem?
Need to come to the microphone.
I'm sorry?
They can't hear you.
Walgreens requested the layout like you see it. They wanted to face their parking lot and have it exclusively their single lot.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Reichers, while you're there,
There is one other restriction. BP, when they own the corner, they put a restriction on the corner about convenience items. If the building were on the corner, that restriction would come into play and would not be allowed by BP's recorded documents.
are you talking about the issuance of the NFR letter?
No, this is a covenant on the property.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But I have a question for you, Mr. Rogers. The Walgreens now, I don't know if you can answer it. Well, maybe you can. The Walgreens now is going to vacate the current space that it has in your shopping center.
Correct.
Right. And do they currently, for that location, have a lease with you?
Yes, they extended their lease for 5 years in order to get something on the
They
corner.
extended it for what, 5 years?
5-year period, they're into that 3 years already, they have 2 years
I'm
left.
sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, they're into the 5-year extension with 3 years, they have 2 years left on their extension.
Okay. And do you have anyone at this point in time lined up to occupy that space that they're vacating?
We have no one that's signed up, we're looking for one tenant that would take the entire space. We have looked at different options that we can do in dividing the space up for other tenants and making some changes. It depends on what we can lease up there.
I know that quite a bit of the questions, a number of the questions I'm asking you don't really relate to what's being presented before us this evening, but I am concerned about that. And you have a timeline as far as the construction of the Walgreens, if it is finally approved?
We hope to have Walgreens open by March of next year.
March of 14?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to add to that, what we are attempting to do, we want to clean up the site in the corner this year. We don't want to wait until the building's finished and clean up the corner. That corner is an eyesore, and it's got a lot of problems. So we want to try and start some cleanup as soon as we can.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to my next question regarding the cleanup. I think we're all aware of the fact that that site is contaminated. There's been a license, I believe, filed for the Clark gas station that existed there. I don't know if you can
Yes.
answer these questions or not.
We have the environmental people here. They can answer any of those questions.
Please.
And Mr. Deegan, Matt Otto from Apex. Is a national firm hired by Walgreens and ourselves to look at this. Just for your information, an NFR letter was received, and I believe the village has a copy of that. I'll let Matt
Well,
explain that.
I have some questions regarding that, if I may, please. Let me ask your representative. Yes, please, for the record.
Sure, I'm Matt Otto with Apex Companies.
Okay. Matt, I need to ask you a few questions about that. So the NFR letter's been received. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, does anyone know what the extent of contamination is that currently exists at that site?
Yes, they do. The responsible party, BP...
I can't hear you. You're going to have to talk into the microphone.
Is this better?
I'm sorry?
Is this better?
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if it's better. Right now, it's better.
The responsible party did some investigation and some remediation on that property. They submitted a final completion report to the state of Illinois, which led to the NFR that you mentioned earlier.
All right. What is the current extent of contamination? Did you have to enter into any environmental land use controls with any of the adjoining properties?
Not with any of the, other than the highway authority agreements with Stern
Do you have
and
highway authority agreements for what, IDOT and also Stern Road, or just 59?
both, I believe, yes.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay. And how about, all right, so we know contamination extends to 59 and also Stearns. How about farther north and east?
It was delineated both on the north and to the east. It did not leave the actual shopping center property itself.
Okay, so the adjoining properties are not contaminated?
Correct.
Okay, so we have, are you planning on digging and hauling or using engineered barriers?
There is an engineered barrier restriction on the southwest corner of the site. If you have a copy of the NFR, there is a diagram in the back that shows, I apologize, I don't know the dimensions off the top
So
of my head.
that's why we're going to use the asphalt pavement,
What's that?
the parking lot?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so that, right. And,
And there also is an industrial commercial land use restriction for the
right,
property, but that
right,
isn't.
familiar with that. And also vapor extraction, you know, July 15th, we had new regulations
Mm-hmm.
that were issued by the Illinois EPA regarding vapor extraction.
Mm-hmm.
The current building, I know this is something you're gonna have to work out with Walgreens, but I just want to make sure that there's no liability issues that we may be confronted with. And, the vapor extraction will be addressed.
Yes,
There wasn't
actually,
details in the memo that I received and reviewed. So
Correct.
that's why.
the NFR letter was issued before the vapor intrusion regulations came on board on July 15th.
However, we're changing configuration of the site,
Right,
so
but
that null and voids our NFR.
Well, if, as long as I talked with the Illinois EPA project manager, Steve Kutrich, about the
I know
engineer
personally,
barrier.
yeah.
And he indicated as long as we replace the engineer barrier that's shown on the diagram in the NFR with an equal or greater, more, or equally or more restrictive engineer barrier, and during the construction, and we document that, it will not affect the NFR.
We're planning on putting a poly barrier under the building.
We actually did proactively, Walgreens had hired us to do a vapor intrusion assessment of the proposed building footprint, and none of the vapor concentrations in the proposed building footprint exceeded any remediation objectives by the Illinois EPA.
All right, back up, let's start that over again. We did testing where?
Under the building footprint of the proposed Walgreens.
Okay. So the intent
Essentially, the
is,
Walgreens building is going to be away from where the contamination's at.
all right,
And
so
they don't,
the,
as Matt said, they don't have any intrusions into that site, because they're moving the building back off of really what the gas station site is at.
all right, so no contamination exists in the present site of where the Walgreens is being,
Essentially,
right?
the Walgreens is going to be more on the Brewster Creek.
Well, I'm not sure that's what I heard this evening. Is that correct? The current Walgreens building, where it's currently positioned on site, there is no contamination that exists under that building at this point in time?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I want to get an answer to. Thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Quick question for staff. With this re-subdivision, the existing Walgreens, if this was approved, where the existing Walgreens is, do you guys see a problem if a future tenant goes in there that they don't have direct parking in front of where they are, depending on what wants to go in there, if it's an office max or if it's something along those details? Is that a concern?
We talked about that, and if there is parking right along the south side of the building here, and then what we did is, when we eliminated those 11 spaces here, we provided basically a crosswalk directly into almost where the front door is, so that if they would park in this area right here, they could safely cross the access easement and kind of direct them right to the front of the building. So we felt that was a good compromise.
All right, thank you.
Gentlemen, anyone else?
I have a quick question. Is the proposed building larger or about the same as the existing Walgreens? area-wise?
The existing building is 13,000 square feet, the new one is 14,820.
So it's a little bit larger.
Just a little larger, yes.
I see. And the existing one obviously doesn't have a drive-through operation.
Correct.
That's the big impetus for the proposed. And Commissioner Lundberg brought up earlier, you know, why the building faces south as opposed to east. I don't know. Are all Walgreens basically the same footprint in size and dimension?
I'll let the architect who's built the number in Walgreens to answer that.
Or are they kind of customized to each site?
My name is Jim Pavelsek. I'm an architect with Base 10 Architects. To answer your question, yes, this is pretty close to standard size Walgreens, although the facade would be quite unique to this particular Walgreens.
So there's another Walgreens in the area at Stearns and County Farm. Would this be kind of comparable to that one in the area? Because that's a few miles down the road from this place.
I'm not familiar with that, but if it was built within the last 10 years or so, it would be very similar in size with the drive-through unit.
Right. So they basically have the entry on the one side and the drive-through on the other, and then the loading on the other, correct?
Correct. Typically, the entry is kitty corner from the drive-through in the buildings, and yes, the entrance is requested by Walgreens to always face the primary intersections.
Jim is being modest. This Walgreens is going to be a lot better looking than that other one.
Well, they are an attractive building. They put together a good package, but I could just see if the entry were to be moved somewhat more or less in the center or in the other corner for an operational standpoint with relationship to the line. But that's just my opinion. Thank you, Jim.
Commissioners, anyone else? Well, considering the discussion that I've heard, we have 4 different items that we're looking at. We're looking at the re-subdivision, we're looking at the rezoning.
Ray, there is some members of the public that might want to say something.
This is not a public hearing.
Yes, it is.
You've got a special use in there. We
Fine.
snuck that in there in case
Fine.
there was any Templars in the audience.
Yeah, well, somebody had that written down at the bottom. By the way, this was a public hearing, and we opened the public hearing at 7:30, just to catch up. Thanks a lot, guys. Okay. Any members of the audience this evening wish to comment regarding petitioner's request, or do we have any specific questions that we may want to ask the petitioner? Please, by all means. I never saw that.
Terry Witt at 471
I'll
South
get him to do that.
Western Avenue.
You know, we need to stop for a second, okay, because I just saw this, all right? And I'm going to ask the petitioner to stand, please, and I want you to, Jim's going to swear you in, and I want you to state, and he'll rephrase it slightly by saying, the testimony that you've given this evening is true and accurate. So please, Jim, if you be so kind.
Okay, gentlemen, do you swear the testimony that you gave this evening is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge? Thank you.
Somebody said no back there. All right, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but honestly, I had just seen that this was a public hearing, so we're trying to make sure that we're in compliance with all statutes. Please, if you be so kind, and introduce yourself again for the record. I never saw that.
Terry Witt, 471 South Western Avenue. So, a resident of Bartlett. I'm very happy that the work you're doing on Walgreens, all your buildings are very attractive. And a couple of you, I gave a sheet to earlier showing the nice new Walgreens up in Huntley, Illinois. And the interesting thing about Huntley, Illinois is that they have a bike rack right there across from the front door. They have bicycle paths coming from the west, coming from the east, coming from the north, coming from the south. They've got 4 crosswalks at that intersection. It's really easy for the customers to get to. So, although most of the discussion's been about cars and parking, I just like to let you know that bicyclists come to your stores. I know when we ride and we see a Walgreens, we stop in. Sometimes there's 10 of us. You know, it's about 50 extra bucks that you wouldn't have gotten that are from out-of-town bucks coming in. So I would like to encourage you to look just beyond your footprint and look at the entire intersection of 59 and Stearns Road. It is a difficult intersection. There's only 2 crosswalks. People from west of 59 have a tough time getting to your store. Very difficult. There's only a sidewalk on the north side, northwest corner. There's nothing on the southwest corner. It's really tough for cyclists to come. And the reason that I'm emphasizing this is that there are 4 major regional trails, bicycle trails, multi-use trails, 4 of them coming from all directions within 3 miles of Bartlett. And it's not likely that any of them are going to come to your store there unless you help improve the entire intersection. IDOT, on their 4-year plan, has $1.5 million designated for that intersection. When it comes time for them to do their thing, I certainly hope that Walgreens comes and gives their input into that so that you can more easily draw people from other places. The other thing I gave in the handout to a couple of you, the League of American Bicyclists has American Bicycle Friendly program. Walgreens could be the very first pharmacy-type drugstore chain to become a bicycle-friendly business. The customers, there's a lot of people out there that ride bicycles. They would notice. So, I'm just giving you a little pitch. Don't forget about the bicycle riders. We're customers too.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? If not, we're going to move on. We have 4 different items that petition is requesting: re-subdivision, rezoning, site plan review, and special use permit. Because of the discussion that we've had this evening, I think what we're going to do is break this down into 3 motions. First, we're going to address the re-subdivision and the rezoning. Secondly, we'll do the site plan review, and lastly, we'll do the special use permit. So with that, I'm asking for a motion approving the petitioner's request for the re-subdivision and rezoning. Do we have such a motion?
I make a motion that we vote on the re-subdivision of it
And rezoning.
and the rezoning.
Okay, do we have, along with the findings of fact, recommendations of staff and the findings of fact, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? If not, may we have the roll, please?
Johnny Asho,
Yes.
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
Steve Kane,
Yes.
Jim Lemberg,
Yes.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes.
Ray Daney.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's right, I'm a voting member. I could have made the motion. Hey, see, it's been so long. The next item that we're going to address is the site plan review for lots 1 and 2 of Brewster Creek Centre Resubdivision, along with the recommendations of staff and the findings of fact. I'll make a motion that we approve that. Do we have a second?
A second.
Sorry?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, I have a problem with that internal traffic. I don't think it's very efficient, and it would discourage customers. I know if I went in there and I had a tough time getting around that parking lot, I wouldn't go back.
And I've got a big problem with the setback.
So you have a problem with the traffic flow in the internal portion of the site plan?
Right.
And your is
I'm with Jim, and then I have a problem with the setback.
with the setback, okay. Is anyone else?
Yeah, I concur. I think that's going to be a big issue for people trying to exit that parking lot. There's no way people are turning left. There's no way you're going east during rush hour. You can forget about it. And that's how it is now without the Walgreens, without the occupying that corner, and with it there, it's just going to be almost impossible.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, we have motion discussion. How long has that Clark gas station been gone? How long has that been a vacant, Mr. Rogers? It's been 10 years at least?
No, at least. It's got to be over 10 years,
All right, thank you. My problem with it is that we have the petition before us this evening, and they have a viable plan. It may not be the best, but it's viable. And that corner is sat vacant, ugly, disgusting, embarrassing, and I've driven by it so many times I just turned my head. And I'm very, very anxious to see that corner redeveloped. And that's my comment on that. So with that, we'll take the roll, please.
Good point.
Ray Daney,
Yes.
John Miasso,
Yes.
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
Jim Lemberg,
No.
Mark Hopkins,
No.
Steve Kane,
Yes.
All right. Then lastly, we have petitioner's request for a special use permit for packaged liquor and liquor sales at the Walgreens. Making a motion, we approve the petitioner's request along with the recommendations of staff and the findings of fact. Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's not all speak up at one time. All right, we have a second discussion. There being none, may we have the roll, please?
Ray Daney,
Yes.
John Miasso,
Yes.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes.
Steve Kane,
Yes.
Jim Lemberg,
Yes.
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
Okay. Gentlemen, I think I made my point very clear. I want to wish you good luck when this moves on to the village board. And I thank you for taking the initiative, trying to redevelop that intersection. So, good luck to you. Welcome. And then we have a little more here, old business and new business. Do we have any old business?
Did you get your invitation to Jerry's celebration here at the Village Board on August 20th?
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard about it this evening, and unfortunately, in fact, I just called Jerry this evening. He's going to meet us later, and I won't be here. I can't be here. I'll be on vacation in
I'm
Wisconsin.
sure he understands, but yes, it's going to be August
He's just going to
20th.
meet you later, right, Ray?
Huh?
He's just going to meet you.
Right,
Yeah, right.
the Open Meetings
I
Act.
don't know what they're talking about.
Well, I have to keep everybody else in line, so. And a couple things. First off, I want to thank Jim for taking the meeting last month. I think he did an outstanding job. And I know for a fact he wouldn't have missed the fact that this was a public hearing. And you think with the commissioner sitting up here, even though we just made a quorum, somebody would have poked me in the ribs and said, hey, dummy, public hearing, So, and that's all I have to say. I've said enough. Anybody
Just
else?
have one other thing, real quick. You have a handout in front of you. It's the
Yes.
village's new social media policy, written by our village attorney and approved by the village board at their last meeting. Please read it and review it, because it does apply to all commissioners.
Will we be getting our own email addresses?
No, they will only give those, I think, to the village board. It's a good question. It's been asked before, and my answer is the village board and trustees will get theirs. But please exercise that caution. I will ask again, but I was told only those people will get their village email addresses.
How about a cell phone?
Well, Jim,
No cell phones either. I don't even have a cell phone.
in essence, we have a trustee that is responsible for this commission. And for us to have our emails made public and be contacted directly by the public doesn't make a lot of sense, you know? They should go to the respective trustees for that commission, and that should filter down to us.
If you are going to email us, if you email the village, you can email the staff and the village, but just so you know that it will become a public record. My advice would be, don't email each other, and when you email us, you can email us through the centralized village email address, which will come that any resident can.
Now, wait a second. If I wanted to email Anthony on something, we're playing golf on Sunday.
That's not talking about village business.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So it only pertains...
It only pertains to village business. You can email each other all you want about golfing and going, to restaurants and that kind of stuff. It's village business.
But what's to say, and again, and this is really not a discussion for the plan commission, more for the village board and the village attorney, but, say Ray did email me, about something about, say, hey, that Walgreens, went in or is gonna be going in, what do you think of the traffic pattern? Now, who's to say that who's ever gonna do that FOIA request is not gonna say, oh, no, I know they had a discussion about this, and they filed subpoenas and all that other stuff to get it. Now, I'm not saying that I really want a village email address. I just want to make sure that the plan commission and the members are protected, that, somebody out there's not going to try to FOIA our stuff and go through all of our email just to find a pointless email.
All I can say is it could happen, and just read this and follow through. I will actually invite the village attorney to a future meeting so he can explain it more in detail.
That would be good.
Well, the one thing that you have to guard against is the fact that if I were, or any of us were to email a number of commissioners regarding something that's pending before the village, we're in violation of the Open Meeting Act.
Right, that's right. And that's why you have to just look at this, and we'll have him at a future meeting. And whether or not the board, there's a decision to get your own email addresses, maybe that's the village board and trustees are going to get their own, just like mine, Julie, we have our own village ones. I've been told that it's not going to be extended to the commissioners. But just be prudent in use of the social media when it comes to village business.
Not like it used to be.
No, it isn't.
Speaking of which, is there a future meeting next month? Is there something in the middle?
There's a couple of
September
pending-
12th.
There's a site plan amendment, and then there's a sign plan amendment, and that could come for next month. It's a site plan and a sign plan. I don't know if they'll be ready for next month.
Oh, okay.
Those are two things that we have cases on.
I see. So there would be two separate items on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Just regards to social media, as Julie pointed out, read page 2, scope of policy, the second paragraph. That's probably what pertains to you the most.
Page 2,
Bottom of page 2, the second paragraph, under scope of policy.
under the social media?
Page 2.
It's the second page of the email part. There's a social media, and it pertains to the email. Read that one, and that'll...
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I don't know how...
This one, okay.
This is our village attorney. He has a different numbering system.
I was going to say, couldn't he just sit in here and say, hey, don't do that, as opposed to...
Well, there's a lot of...
This is what all attorneys live for,
I
right?
tell you what,
A lot of people want to use, we get a lot of emails.
he gets paid by
A
the
lot of
hour.
communication.
I think he
and
gets paid by
emails.
the word, really. Do we get college credit?
Just paid by the hour. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.